I had wanted to rush back to the classroom to enjoy my lunch, but Haruhi was waiting for me at the door, and my plans for having lunch went out the window at once. Could this be fate? It seems I've reached the point where I can see through all karma. Waiting impatiently by the corridor, Haruhi yelled in an annoyed tone.
Where did you run off to? I thought you'd be back sooner. I haven't even eaten because I was waiting for you for so long.
She didn't sound angry at all. Rather, she sounded like one of those childhood girlfriends who pout trying to hide their embarrassment.
Don't stand there like an idiot. Follow me.
Haruhi placed a wrestling wrist lock on my hand and dragged me over to the dark staircase. I'm really hungry, man.
I just asked Okabe in the staff room. The teachers only learned about Asakura transferring this morning. Early in the morning, someone claiming to be Asakura's dad called, saying they had to move due to some emergency. And you know where they're moving? Canada! How can this be possible? It's just too fishy.
Oh, really?
After that, I said I was a good friend of Asakura and I wanted to ask the teachers if I could contact her in Canada.
Please. You hardly ever talked to her when she was around.
And you know what the teachers said? They said they didn't know. Normally, if someone were to move, wouldn't they usually leave their contact details? Something is funny here.
There's nothing funny here.
So I asked for Asakura Ryoko's old address from before she moved. I'm gonna go there and have a look after school. Maybe we could find something there.
As usual, this girl never listens to what other people have to say. Forget it. I'm not going to stop her. In the end, the one wasting her time would be Haruhi, not me.
You're coming as well.
What? Why? Haruhi puffed up her shoulders like a dragon preparing to breathe fire. Then, she shouted in a volume that the whole school could hear.
Because you're a member of the SOS Brigade!
Complying with Haruhi's orders, I retreated frantically. I went to the club room to tell Nagato about it, since neither me or Haruhi would be in club activities today. I also told Nagato to tell Asahina and Koizumi when they arrived. Yet, I didn't know whether the silent alien would make things more complicated, so just to be safe, I took a felt tip pen and wrote on the back of one of the SOS Brigade flyers. There will be no club activities today, Haruhi, and pasted the note on the door. Leaving Koizumi aside, at least Asahina won't have to change into her maid costume today. Thanks to all this, the school bell rang before I could eat anything, so I didn't get to my lunch until next recess. I'd be lying if I said I never dreamed of walking home shoulder to shoulder with a girl before, but even though this dream has now become a reality, I'm far from happy about it. Just what is going on here?
Did you just say something?
Haruhi was walking by my left side, striding with large steps while carrying a piece of notebook paper. I automatically interpreted her question as, "You got a problem, pal?" No, nothing at all. We went down the hill and followed the railway line. A little further on would be Koyoen Station. I had thought we were getting near Nagato's place, yet I had no idea Haruhi was actually heading towards there. We then arrived before a familiar brand new apartment block.
Asakura seems to live in room 505.
No wonder.
What do you mean, no wonder?
No, it's nothing. Oh, yeah. How do you expect to get in? Look, even the gate's locked. I pointed to the number keypad by the intercom and said, "You need to enter the correct code to open the door. Do you know it?"
Nope, we're gonna need to endure a prolonged battle in this situation.
Just how long is this going to take, anyway? Apparently not that long, as at that very moment, a middle-aged lady opened the gate from the inside, seemingly to go out to buy some groceries. She glanced at us suspiciously and then walked off. Haruhi ran to keep the gate open just before it shut. This didn't seem wise at all.
Hurry up!
So, just like that, I was dragged into the lobby, and then entered the elevator, which happened to stop at the ground floor. It is basic etiquette to silently look at the floor numbers when riding an elevator.
That Asakura.
Of course, Haruhi doesn't seem to recognize the existence of etiquette.
There are many other fishy things about her. She didn't seem to have attended the local junior high as well.
Well, of course.
I did some research and found that she transferred to North High from another town. This is just too suspicious. North High isn't some famous school or anything, just a normal local high school. Why would she go through so much effort just to come from another town to attend this school?
No.
Yet she lives near the school, and it's one of those apartments paid by cash and not by rent. The price must be insanely expensive. Has she been commuting by train all the way to her junior high out of town all this time?
I said I don't know.
Looks like there is a need to find out when Asakura started living here.
The elevator stopped at the 5th floor. We silently stood and looked at the door for room 505. The nameplate by the door had been removed, indicating this was now an empty apartment. Haruhi turned the doorknob, but as expected, it was locked. Haruhi crossed her arms, wondering how to get inside the apartment to investigate, while I stood trying not to yawn. This is a complete waste of time.
Let's find the concierge.
I seriously doubt he'll lend us the key.
No, I'm thinking of asking him when Asakura started living here.
Forget it, let's go home. What could we do even if we did know?
No.
We took the elevator and returned to the ground floor, and went to the concierge post in the lobby. There didn't seem to be anyone behind the glass panel, yet when we pushed the buzzer, a little old man with white hair slowly appeared. Haruhi began to bombard him with questions before he could even speak.
Excuse me, we're friends of Asakura-san. She suddenly said she was moving without even leaving her new address, and we don't know how to contact her. Could we please ask you if you know where she moved to? And could we please know when Asakura-san started living here?
I was just amazed that Haruhi knew how to use such normal, polite language. The old man, however, seemed to be hard of hearing as he kept replying with,
What? Come again?
and so on. Despite that, Haruhi still managed to learn from the old man that he too was surprised at Asakura's sudden move.
I didn't even see the movers come, and all the furniture inside was gone. Still gives me the creeps.
And that Asakura moved in 3 years ago.
I remember the pretty little lady giving me a box of treats that day.
Also, instead of paying by installments, the apartment seems to have been paid for in one single down payment with cash.
Guess they must be pretty rich.
Jeez, Haruhi. At this rate, you could become a detective. The old man seemed happy to talk to a young girl like Haruhi.
Come to think of it, although I've often seen that pretty young lady, I don't recall ever seeing her parents. I remember the little lady's called Yoko. Such an elegant name for a girl. I was hoping she would at least say goodbye. It's such a pity. Oh yeah, you're pretty cute as well.
When the old man began to talk about stuff like that, Haruhi determined she could no longer extract any more information from him. So she bowed politely and said,
Thank you very much for your help.
She then urged me to leave. I didn't need any urging at all. I was already prepared to follow her and leave this apartment block.
Hey kiddo, that Missy's gonna grow into a pretty lady. Make sure you don't let her out of your grasp.
The old man was obviously talking nonsense. What I was worried about was what sort of terrible reaction Haruhi, who had overheard all this, would have. Yet, she silently continued moving forward. I remained silent as well. A few steps from the lobby, we bumped into Nagato, carrying her bag and some convenience store plastic bags. For Nagato, who would often be in the clubroom reading her book until school closed, to be here means she had also left school right after I had.
Huh. Could it be that you live here as well? Such a coincidence.
Nagato nodded with her pale white face. Please, how can this possibly be a coincidence?
Have you heard anything about Asakura?
She shook her head.
I see. If you hear anything about Asakura, remember to tell me.
She nodded. I spotted some food cans and vegetables inside her convenience store bags and thought, so she does eat food.
What happened to your glasses?
Nagato didn't directly answer the question, but silently looked at me. Don't look at me, I don't know what to say. But Haruhi, not expecting her to answer at all, simply shrugged her shoulders and walked off without turning her head. I lifted my arm and waved goodbye to Nagato. As we walked past, Nagato whispered,
Be careful.
Be careful of what? As I was about to turn and ask, Nagato had already entered the apartment block. I followed Haruhi, who was walking aimlessly along the railway line, remaining 2 or 3 steps behind her. We would be getting further and further away from home if we continued this way, so I asked where we were going.
Nowhere in particular.
I looked at the back of Haruhi's head and said, Then, can I go home now? At this point, Haruhi stopped walking, looking as though she was about to fall forward. Then she looked at me with a face as pale white as Nagato's.
Have you ever had the feeling that you were just a small nail on this earth? I have, and I'll never forget it.
Haruhi stood by the tracks and began to talk.
When I was in the 6th grade, I went with my family to see a baseball game. I wasn't really interested in baseball, yet when I went there, I was given a shock, since everywhere I looked there were people all around. The people at the opposite of the stadium were as small as a grain of rice, in constant motion. I had thought the whole nation had gathered upon this spot then, so I asked my dad about how many people were at the stadium. My dad said it was full that day, maybe about 50,000. After the game, the roads were packed with people. Seeing all of this, I was stunned. There were so many people here, yet they were only a tiny fraction of the whole nation. I read in geography class that Japan had a population of 100 million, so I went home and did some math using a calculator, and I found out that 50,000 was only 1 out of 2,000 of the total population. At that time, I was stunned again. I was only a small part of so many people in the stadium, and this many people were merely 1 out of 2,000 of the whole nation. Before that, I had always felt myself to be special. I was happy with my family, and I felt I was with the world's most interesting people in my class. Yet from that time on, I realized things weren't like that. The experiences I had in school that I thought were the happiest things in the world turned out to exist in every school. For the whole nation, this was nothing special. When I discovered that, the whole world around me just lost its color. I brush my teeth and go to sleep, then wake up and have breakfast. You see those things everywhere. I found it extremely boring when I realized all these things are part of a person's ordinary life. I believe that since there's so many people in this world, there has to be someone who's living an extraordinary, exciting life. But why isn't that person me? Before I graduated from elementary school, I thought all about it. So when I entered junior high, I decided to change myself. I wanted to let the world know I'm not a girl who only sit and wait. I believe I've tried my best, but everything's the same as it's always been. And now I'm in high school, still hoping for something to change.
When she finished, she gave an expression of regretting ever saying all that, and looked at the sky in anguish. A train passed by rapidly. Thanks to all the rumbling noise, I had time to consider if I should continue asking, or whether I should find something philosophical to please Haruhi. I listened to the train leave behind its Doppler effect and said, "Is that so?" I felt bad at only coming up with such a simple reply. Haruhi used her hands to hold down her hair, which had blown up with the gust from the passing train, and said,
"Let's go."
After that, she went back towards where we came from. Though I could reach home faster if I followed where Haruhi was headed, it was as though her back was silently telling me, "Don't follow me." So I stayed where I was and watched Haruhi walk off until she disappeared from my sight.